Welcome to Learning English from the Voice of America. Our program is aimed at English learners, so we speak a little slower and use words and phrases especially written for people learning English. Every day, we bring you news and information about America and the world. This is what you will hear on our program. You will hear a report from Dory Gundy and our technology report with Brian Lynn. Then, listen for our American History series, The Making of a Nation. But first, this report. Before the civil war in Somalia, the capital, Mogadishu, was known for its wide beaches, fresh sea air, and pure blue ocean water. Today, however, large amounts of trash are spreading everywhere. Mogadishu is home to 2 million people. It produces about 2,500 tons of useless waste every day. But until recently, it did not have an official place to put waste material or a trash recycling center. Instead, people have been leaving trash on the streets, placing it along the coast, or into the Indian Ocean. VOA's Somali service recently reported on the problem. It found pictures of workers throwing trash into the water. Other pictures show huge amounts of cans, bottles, boxes, metal, and other waste along the coastline. Sometimes the trash burns, causing smoke and a bad smell to float into the city. To deal with the problem, the Somali government officially announced the establishment of 2 waste landfills in December. One is in Mogadishu's north. The other is in a community just south of the city. But observers say more action is needed. Hassan Noor teaches at Mogadishu's Banadir University. He said there are no laws to prevent people from leaving trash all over the city. Waste management cannot work without legislation, he said. Parts of Mogadishu's coastline remain free of trash. Somalis gather in these areas to enjoy the sea breeze and play in the warm water. The sites remind many people that, before years of civil war and terrorism, the city was once known as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean. Mohammed Yahai is a Somali reporter. He told VOA he has seen all kinds of waste products left on Jazeera Beach. I saw a tanker bring sewage waste and unload it onto the beach, he said. Noor said that the open dumping of waste can lead to increased risk of cancer and other diseases. It's not just health problems. It also impacts on the environment, the air, the land, he said. Omar Abdullahi Hassan is a commissioner of the Wadajir district, which includes Jazeera Beach. He said it is now illegal to leave trash there. Mohammed Yusuf Hassan is head of the environmental cleaning company. It is one of 3 companies identified by police as unloading trash on beaches. Police have yet to arrest anyone for doing so, however. Hassan said his company, which employs over 300 people, is now listening to police. "We don't dump into the sea now," he said. But his company is having trouble finding places to leave waste materials or to recycle trash. "There is no place to manage it," he said. Hassan agreed that laws are needed to help control the problem. The commissioner of Wadajir said his group has been working in recent weeks to get the large new landfills into operation. He added that it is wrong to put trash on the beaches. "Beaches are the most beautiful parts of this country," he said. I'm Mario Ritter, Jr.
It took Chiao Suyu just a few swings of a baseball bat to wreck what looked like an old car radio. Then 2 friends destroyed telephones, loudspeakers, rice cookers, and even a lifelike model from a clothing store. The Reuters news agency says all 3 paid 158 yuan, or about $23, to spend half an hour in an anger room at a business called Smash in Beijing. It is a place where people can take out their anger on everyday objects while listening to music they choose. Smash requires its customers to wear protective equipment when they enter the room, armed with a baseball bat or small hand tool. This is to keep them safe from flying wreckage. Chio, a 16-year-old high school student, said she went there to release her anger about school. "It feels so good when I destroy those bottles and watch them explode," she said with a smile on her face. Since Smash opened in September, customers have destroyed around 15,000 bottles every month, said 25-year-old Jing Meng. She started the business with her friends. However, Smash is not meant to support acts of violence, she explained. Instead, it aims to help people deal with the pressures of living in big cities like Beijing. Jean added its target customers are between 20 and 35 years old. Another customer, 32-year-old Liu Chia, looked pleased and at ease after a recent visit to Smash. "If you have money, you can smash anything. Smash some TVs, computers, wine bottles, furniture, mannequins. But the only thing you can't do is smash someone," said Liu. Similar businesses already exist in other countries, including the United States. In Beijing, Jean said her next step is to open a new anger room in a shopping center where people can take a break from visiting stores to smash a bottle or 2. I'm Dorothy Gundy.
The history of steam power goes all the way back to the 1700s. At the time, steam was used to power many different machines and helped fuel the Industrial Revolution. Over the years, steam was replaced by other fuel systems to power everything from homes to cars to industrial equipment. Now, some American scientists are developing steam power for one of today's most highly technical activities, space exploration. Research scientists from the University of Central Florida, or UCF, and U.S.-based space company Honeybee Robotics are carrying out the project. The scientists are developing and testing a space robot model named The World Is Not Enough, which they call WINE for short. The spacecraft is designed to travel repeatedly between space rocks called asteroids and planets throughout the solar system. The small spacecraft is designed to land on these space objects. It has tools to search for and collect water that might be below the surface. WINE can then heat the water to create steam to power the spacecraft to its next space stop. WINE is equipped to gather and use solar energy as well. The company Honeybee Robotics built the model that the researchers recently tested. The UCF team provided a reproduction of asteroid material for the test, as well as computer modeling used to design WINE. Phil Metzger is a planetary research scientist at UCF. Before joining the university, he spent nearly 30 years working at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. He worked 3 years on the latest project developing the technology necessary for creating a working model. Metzger said in a statement the test was a successful demonstration of the spacecraft's abilities. He reported it was able to dig into the simulated asteroid material and collect water. It then produced steam fuel that permitted the spacecraft to complete its own launch. The scientists believe the technology could open up limitless space exploration. Currently, interplanetary space exploration trips must end when the spacecraft runs out of fuel. Each time we lose our tremendous investment in time and money that we spent building and sending the spacecraft to its target, Metzger said. WINE was designed to never run out of propellant, so exploration will be less expensive. It also allows us to explore in a shorter amount of time, since we don't have to wait for years as a new spacecraft travels from Earth each time. Metzger says WINE spacecraft could keep traveling to many different asteroids and planets. They could carry out experiments before refueling and launching to the next stop. He said such exploration activities could be carried out anywhere there is water and the right gravitational conditions. Chris Zachney is the vice president of Honeybee Robotics. He also described the test as a great success, saying, "WINE-like spacecraft have the potential to change how we explore the universe. Wine is linked to NASA's Small Business Technology Transfer Program that supports university and small business cooperation on space research projects. I'm Brian Lynn.
From VOA Learning English, welcome to the Making of a Nation. I'm Steve Ember. In 1850, the northern and southern states threatened to split over the issue of slavery. At that time, owning slaves was legal in the southern states. Many northerners opposed slavery, and the question remained, should slavery be legal in new territories in the western part of the country? The two sides disagreed strongly, but the issue needed to be settled. So Senator Henry Clay of Kentucky offered a compromise. Conservative Southern lawmakers rejected it. John C. Calhoun of South Carolina especially spoke against the compromise, but other lawmakers supported it, including one of the nation's top political leaders. Senator Daniel Webster of Massachusetts said the compromise was the only way to save the Union of States. 4 days after Webster's speech, Senator William Seward of New York presented his ideas to the Senate and to the nation. Seward was a Northerner. He said he opposed any compromise with the South. He said he did not want slavery in the new Western territories, and he called for a national policy to start peacefully ending slavery everywhere. Seward criticized Daniel Webster for speaking against abolition societies. He said such groups represented a moral movement that could not be stopped. He said the movement would continue until all the slaves in America were free. Seward then criticized John C. Calhoun. He denounced Calhoun's demands for a political balance between the North and South. He said this forced balance would change the United States from a united national democracy to an alliance of independent states. In such a system, he said, the minority would be able to veto actions of the majority. A few weeks after Seward spoke, John C. Calhoun died. One newspaper in Calhoun's home state said, "The senator's death is best for the country and his own honor. The slavery question will now be settled." Calhoun would have blocked a settlement. In fact, many lawmakers had come to support the idea of Senator Henry Clay's compromise, but they could not agree on which parts of it to pass first. Southern supporters were afraid that if a statehood bill for California was passed first, then Northerners would refuse to pass the other parts of the compromise. So Southerners wanted to include all parts in one bill. A committee of 13 men was named to write a bill based on Henry Clay's compromise. The committee had 6 members from slave states and 6 from free states. Senator Clay was named to lead it. 3 weeks later, the committee offered its bill. It was much like the compromise Clay had first proposed. It made California a free state. It created territorial governments for New Mexico and Utah. It settled the border dispute between Texas and New Mexico. It ended the slave trade in the nation's capital, the District of Columbia, and it urged approval of a new law dealing with runaway slaves. For about a month, the bill seemed to have the support of President Zachary Taylor. But then the president made it clear that he would do everything he could to defeat it. Taylor did not think the nation was in crisis. He did not believe the dispute over slavery was as serious as others did. He had his own plan to settle one part of the dispute. He would make the new territory of California a free state. There, slavery would be banned. Taylor's plan did not, however, settle other parts of the dispute. It said nothing about laws on escaped slaves. It said nothing about slavery in the District of Columbia. It also said nothing about the border dispute between Texas and New Mexico. Senator Clay, who had offered the compromise, questioned President Taylor's limited proposal. Clay said, "Now, what is the plan of the president? Here are 5 problems, 5 wounds that are bleeding and threatening the life of the republic. What is the president's plan? Is it to heal all these wounds? No such thing. It is to heal one of the 5 and to leave the other 4 to bleed more than ever." While the debate continued in Washington, the situation in Texas and New Mexico got worse. Texas claimed a large part of New Mexico, including the capital, Santa Fe. Early in 1850, Texas sent a representative to Santa Fe to take control of the government. The United States military commander in New Mexico advised the people not to recognize the man. The governor of Texas was furious. He decided to send state soldiers to enforce Texas's claims in New Mexico. He said if trouble broke out, the United States government would be to blame. President Taylor rejected Texas's claims. He told his Secretary of War to send an order to the military commander in New Mexico. The commander was to use force to oppose any attempt by Texas to seize the territory. The Secretary of War said he would not send such an order. He believed that if fighting began, Southerners would hurry to the aid of Texas. And that, he thought, might be the start of a Southern struggle against the federal government. In a short time, the North and South would be at war. So the Secretary of War refused to sign the order. President Taylor answered sharply, "Then I will sign the order myself." Taylor had been a general before becoming president. He said he would take command of the army himself to enforce the law. And he said he was willing to hang anyone who rebelled against the Union. President Taylor began writing a message to Congress on the situation. He never finished it. On July 4, 1850, Taylor attended an outdoor Independence Day ceremony. The event was held on the grounds where a monument to America's first president, George Washington, was being built. The day was very hot, and Taylor stood for a long time in the burning sun. That night, he became sick with pains in his stomach. Doctors were called to the White House, but none of their treatments worked. 5 days later, President Zachary Taylor died. His vice president, Millard Fillmore, was sworn in as president. Millard Fillmore was from New York State. His family was poor. His early education came not from school teachers, but from whatever books he could find. Later, Fillmore was able to study law. He became a successful lawyer. He also served in the United States Congress for 8 years. The Whig Party chose him as its candidate for vice president in the election of 1848. He served in the office for about a year and a half before the death of President Taylor. Fillmore had disagreed with Taylor over the Congressional Compromise on Slavery and the Western Territories. Unlike Taylor, Fillmore truly believed that the nation was facing a crisis, and he truly believed the compromise would help save the Union. Now, as president, Fillmore offered his complete support to the compromise bill. Its chances of passing looked better than ever. Fillmore asked the old cabinet to resign. He named his own cabinet members. All were strong supporters of the Union. All supported the compromise. Congress debated the compromise bill throughout the summer of 1850. The bill included several proposals. Supporters decided not to vote on the proposals as one piece of legislation. They saw a better chance of success by trying to pass each proposal separately. Their idea worked. By the end of September, both the Senate and House of Representatives had approved all parts of the 1850 Compromise. President Fillmore signed them into law. One part of the compromise permitted California to enter the Union as a free state. One established territorial governments in New Mexico and Utah. One settled the dispute between Texas and New Mexico. Another ended the slave trade in the District of Columbia. Many happy celebrations took place when Americans heard that President Fillmore had signed the 1850 Compromise. Many people believed the problem of slavery had been solved. They believed the Union had been saved. Others, however, believed the problem only had been postponed. They hoped the delay would give reasonable people of the North and South time to find a permanent answer to the issue of slavery. Time was running out. It was true that the 1850 Compromise had ended a national crisis, but both Northern and Southern extremists remained bitter. Those opposed to slavery believed the Compromise law on runaway slaves violated the Constitution. The issue of slavery was linked to the issue of secession. Did states have the right to leave the Union? If Southern states rejected all compromises on slavery, did they have the right to secede? The signing of the 1850 Compromise cooled the debate for a time, but disagreement on the issues was deep. It would continue to build over the next 10 years.
And that's our program for today. Listen again tomorrow for another VOA Learning English program on the Voice of America.